Hello, I'm Katie Porcho. I'm an elementary art teacher at Danville North Elementary, and I am proud to represent school communities as 2020 Indiana Teacher of the Year. So much has happened in the past weeks following the first announcements of school building closures around our state. Our roles as teachers, aides, cafeteria workers, bus drivers, janitors, school counselors, specialists, and administrators have changed significantly. Our care and our partnership with our students and their families is now more important than ever. With so much change and uncertainty, it's easy to feel fragmented, frayed, or at loose ends. So, as an art teacher, I'd love for you to unplug and join me in a little creative catharsis.
We are going to be creating a thought tapestry made out of fragments. To do this, we will be using a textile technique called weaving. Weaving is a way of interlacing two sets of threads together to create a cloth or fabric. You may remember doing this as a kid to create pot holders. Here are some vocabulary terms that will help get us started. Loom, the structure that holds all the strings together as we weave. Warp, the strings that go up and down and stay stable and still. Weft, the strings that go under and over, left to right. Or, as I like to tell my students, under and over, right to weft. Can you believe it? Let's get started gathering materials. You'll be able to find everything you need within your home. A loom can be created using just about anything. A box that came in the mail, a box of noodles, a paper plate, or even a toilet paper roll. And if the quarantine has you a bit stir-crazy, you may find other objects to weave on. I'm going to use a piece of cardboard and something to cut with, and something to make measurements with. Next, you'll need to go on a hunt around your house for different kinds of fragments. Old t-shirts, shoelaces, ribbons, and yarn will all work great for this project. If your fragments aren't already cut into strips, take a pair of scissors and snip, snap away. Great, you are all set. Let's start by creating the structure that holds it all together, the loom. We'll begin by cutting notches on the opposite ends of the cardboard. If you like being precise, feel free to measure it out. Me, I prefer eyeballing things. Just be sure the notches you cut on one end line up with the notches on the opposite end. There, you have it. You got a loom. And now it's time for the warp, the strings that go up and down and keep things stable. Find your longest string or tie a few fragments together and begin winding the warp up and down and then around to line up with each notch vertically. As you do this, take a moment to consider your sources of strength. Sources of Strength is a national evidence-based program that you may already be practicing at your school. This program reminds us to lean on the things in our lives that provide us with stability. When our world around us feels uncertain, fragmented, or frayed, our sources of strength remain present, unmoved, and certain, much like the warp in our weaving. Take a moment to consider which sources of strength you are choosing to lean on as you wrap your warp. To begin the weaving pattern, find your most simple fragment, like a piece of yarn, and tie it to the top of your first warp. Since I have an odd number of warps, I'm going to skip over the second warp and go under the third and over the fourth. If you have an even number, I suggest going under the second warp and over the third. When you come to your last warp, go out and around the opposite way you came. Under, over, under, over. Don't pull too tight. Make sure your warp stays nice and straight. This methodical pattern can help us practice our mindful breathing. As many of us know through practicing this with our own students, Mindful breathing is a great way to integrate our body awareness with our sensory experience. See if you can sync your breath with the movement of the weft. Under, over, inhale, and exhale. After weaving your first fragment, consider identifying your next fragments with those things in your life that are currently leaving you feeling fragmented, frayed, or at loose ends. I currently miss my school community very much, so I am weaving in a student-made beaded bracelet and an old t-shirt from my school district. Here are some other fragments you might consider weaving together. Weave a fragment that describes the way you feel about social distancing. Maybe it's a stinky, lonely, mismatched sock. Weave a fragment that expresses the sense of loss you may feel regarding school closure. Life seems to be giving a whole lot of lemons right now. Next, weave a fragment that connects your feelings about navigating e-learning or distance learning. Consider the ways your community continues to share, care, and support each other during this time, and weave a fragment that depicts your gratefulness. And finally, weave a fragment that expresses the hope you hold for the reunion to come.
My school's counselor uses this phrase, name your feelings. I hope that this creative catharsis can help you put a name to those thoughts or feelings that are leaving you feeling untethered. Although our school communities may be feeling stretched or disconnected, you can help weave our Indiana school community back together by creating and sharing your own thought tapestry. You can do this by
taking a photo of your thought tapestry and posting it to social media. In your post, use the hashtag #BeWeavin'. Tag your friends and colleagues who you would like to challenge with this creative catharsis.
Together, we can take what feels fragmented or frayed and weave it into the fold.